An NBA analyst just proposed a pretty insane Toronto Raptors trade. It has the fan base fired up. It would send Bruce Brown to the Miami Heat, and in return, the Toronto Raptors would receive Caleb Martin. They're arguing it would make a ton of sense for this Raptors squad. Some Raptors fans are so as well, so we'll discuss that trade, including a former Toronto Raptor announcing his retirement pretty out of the blue. So we're going to discuss all of that in this video. But before we do, folks, again, if you're a part of the 49% that hasn't hit the subscribe button just yet, make sure you guys hit that sub button so you don't miss a single thing regarding this Toronto Raptors team in the offseason, where the Raptors are looking to make some deals, looking to build their roster and build up for the future. But let's dive into this trade, because I've had a couple people send me this over the past couple days. But essentially, an NBA analyst has proposed a wild Bruce Brown trade. That'd be a sign-in trade with the Miami Heat. Bruce Brown's already signed. His contract has already been picked up. But we've all been seeing the different reports and things regarding Bruce Brown in recent weeks. And given the fact the Raptors currently have no extra roster spots to bring back a guy like Trent Jr., to bring in anyone using our mid-level exception or Pascal Siakam traded player exception, the fact that we don't have that flexibility right now indicates a trade is incoming. That just is the only logical explanation in terms of moves coming for the Toronto Raptors moving forward. So again, lots of trade proposals are being thrown out here. Now, one has recently come from Bleacher Report that has Toronto Raptors fans fired up. It's essentially, we broke it down, Caleb Martin coming back to the Toronto Raptors, and they said, Bleacher Report live stream projected that Martin is looking for upwards of $20 million annually and could realistically expect to earn a few $1,000,000 less than that per season if the right team or right suitor came in. But we can expect, $20 million for Caleb Martin in terms of a contract. So what was proposed here by Bleacher Report and what's getting sent around Toronto Raptors land is a sign-in trade. Bruce Brown for Caleb Martin. And Martin's like, look, I'm leaving. Why not give Miami that cap flexibility, giving them an expiring contract in Bruce Brown, and plays for the Miami Heat next year. He's a decent fit. And then the Raptors get a wing, which they desperately need. Now, this is coming from Bleacher Report, and I see on the surface level some Raptors fans just seeing a guy that's capable, a decent guy, a different name. That's some big moments in the playoffs for the Miami Heat, and Caleb Martin saying, hey, that's not a bad idea. He's like a forward and stuff. This makes a ton of sense. We trade away a shooting guard, get more of a wing forward guy, because that's a perception, because he has played some power forward on the Miami Heat. But realistically, and I get the argument some people are making for this making some bit of sense, I don't get it whatsoever. Personally, I'd rather keep Bruce Brown on this Toronto Raptors team and give a longer-term, bigger money deal contract to Caleb Martin. And we can break down the stats, right? Caleb Martin's a guy averaged 10 points per game, 4.4 rebounds, 2.2 assists, shot 35% from behind the three-point line, shoots 33% on corner threes. And again, some people might not understand this because he's less tenured in the NBA and stuff than Bruce Brown. He is older. He's almost 2 years older than Bruce Brown, or 1 year older at least. He is a year older than Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown averages more points. He's a bit better of a defender. He's only an inch shorter. And Bruce Brown has played the power forward position in the past as well. So he has a bit of experience playing their point guard. He's just more of a versatile guy. Yes, Caleb Martin is an incrementally better three-point shooter, but Bruce Brown has higher percentages from the corners and in different areas. So people coming out to me, sending this trade, sending these ideas, and breaking down that Caleb Martin, it makes a ton of sense. He's older. He's not that much of an improvement in terms of three-point shooter. And frankly, he's going to be more expensive. He will affect the Toronto Raptors' long-term cap flexibility in a much worse way than Bruce Brown would on this Toronto Raptors squad moving forward. We have Bruce Brown on an expiring. We don't have a ton of cap space moving forward into the future when Scottie Barnes extension kicks in. And then depending on what we do with some of our younger players, we have to keep in mind, be cognitive of, Gradey Dick's potential future extension, Jakob Poeltl, these types of guys. So if we're bringing long-term money in for a Caleb Martin on one of these deals, we also have Barrett, Immanuel Quickley on these bigger contracts. It just doesn't make a ton of sense because the guy is naturally a shooting guard as well. For everything we're talking about, Trent Jr., he's inconsistent. Gary Trent Jr. is a 40% three-point shooter. He knocks them down. Yes, he's inconsistent. Yes, he frustrates Toronto Raptors fans, but he shoots 5% better than a Caleb Martin. Martin's a little bit better of a slasher, attacker. You could argue maybe defender, but again, you get that Miami Heat boost. You see what guys like Gabe Vincent, heck, even a Max Strus did when they left the Miami Heat. Caleb Martin was essentially a nobody for the Charlotte Hornets prior to going to the Miami Heat, and now he's looking at upwards of $20 million, I'm assuming, for a multi-year contract, and he doesn't put up as good of stats as Bruce Brown, and he's 6'5", so he's going to take minutes away from RJ Barrett, from Gradey Dick, from a Jakob Poeltl, from an Ochai Agbaji, from all these dudes. Heck, you can even go into our point guard position, in terms of a 6'5" guard, right? IQ. We have Davion Mitchell now at this point. You can play that combo guard position. We have Jamal Shed. I mean, this team is loaded at the guard spot. It's the reason this team wants to deal waivers in the headspace of, hey, maybe we should get something decent back for Bruce Brown. That's what the Toronto Raptors are mindset at. So to bring in a more expensive, less good option that's older than Bruce Brown, at that specific position, it makes absolutely zero sense for the Toronto Raptors. And again, I think they're leaning into the Miami Heat, doing something like that in terms of this proposed trade. I don't know why this is Raptors fans kind of tied up in arms about a potential trade idea in terms of something that makes a ton of sense. But frankly, I'd rather just keep Bruce Brown, because Bruce Brown has proven he can play a little bit bigger than he has been, and he's on an expiring deal, so there's flexibility. The trade deadline next year, things can kind of work out, but I don't know. If we make this trade, I'm going to be very disappointed unless there's draft capital, draft assets attached to Caleb Barton coming back to the Toronto Raptors. Again, I'm trading Bruce Brown for picks, for flexibility, for things like that, rather than a worse, older player that is at the exact same position. It makes no sense whatsoever to me, but let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section down below. I know that's some Raptors fans fired up, but the next one we're taking a look at is a former Toronto Raptor announces his retirement, which was pretty shocking to a lot of Toronto Raptors fans. Yuta Watanabe is a guy that a lot of people looked at as a player with a ton of potential. He worked really hard, especially with the Brooklyn Nets, really blossomed as a three-point shooter. So he was a guy that I imagine Raptors fans, at least myself, expect to have a good another 5, 6, 7 years out there in the NBA, even if he was a little bit of a journeyman, bounced around the league. But news came out today that from Yuta Watanabe, is translated from Japanese, that my 6-year NBA journey is officially ended. Honestly, there were a lot of difficult things, but looking back, these 6 years have been like a dream. NBA life started in Memphis land. Toronto started to build my confidence. Brooklyn is where my confidence turned into confidence. That might be a translation error. And Phoenix, who got his first multi-year contract, and finally returning to Memphis to finish off my NBA life. There are so many memories in each land. Basketball has taken me to a really far place where I grew up in a small countryside of Kagawa Prefecture. I don't know if I can read that, but and I've met so many encounters. I say I did my all in America. I'm proud of myself for achieving a dream. I've always dreamed since I was little. I'm looking forward to starting a new basketball life in Japan, where I was born and where I was raised. Thank you so much for everyone who supported me in my NBA challenge so far, and thank you for your continued support. So again, this is an update coming from Yuta Watanabe himself, translated from Japanese, so that's why there's some things that are tougher to read in there. But shout out to Yuta Watanabe, man. I want to give some love. I'm surprised. Again, he didn't put up crazy stats, 3.4 points per game, 1.6 rebounds. Maybe some teams weren't interested in him. His 3-point percentages were ridiculously high with the Brooklyn Nets when he was playing alongside Kevin Durant. But, they dwindled off a bit last season for the Suns and the Memphis Grizzlies there. But a guy that always hustled, a guy that always had the right attitude coming into games. I'm happy for Utah. He's going to be now a star player, I'd imagine, over there in Japan. You're making millions of dollars over a 6-year NBA career. So congratulations to Yuta Watanabe along that front. Wishing him the best in his basketball future. I mean, if he learns how to shoot, gets his shooting percentages up, he's 28 years old, 29 years old. I wouldn't be shocked to see him in the NBA again, maybe a couple years down the line. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below about all this Toronto Raptors news. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. I'm signing out.